Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Sir Exile's Library. I'm your host Sir Exile the Wanderer. I would like to start off this episode by sharing a few thoughts. One of which concerns a comment that I received in one of my other videos. In the comment they disagreed with a statement that I made in the video. I am perfectly fine with differences of opinion, but what I don't like or appreciate are comments that try to provoke contention. In my video I used the scientific method to explain my thoughts and reasoning. I did extensive research and openly shared my findings. Then someone wrote in a comment that my whole argument and thesis was wrong. All they did was write a statement saying that I was wrong, and they didn't explain why they believed I was mistaken. I am willing to admit that I don't know everything and sometimes I may get a few things wrong, but I don't appreciate when people try to spark an argument without backing up their source or response. In all of the Sir Exile's Library episodes I use the scientific method approach when explaining my findings. I have done lots of research and am willing to share my findings and thoughts with everyone. If you disagree with my findings, that is perfectly alright. Just please keep the negative thoughts to yourself. Please don't try to start an argument or cause contention. I am happy to hear about why you disagree with certain statements and happy to hear your own thoughts and opinions. But to flat out say that I am wrong and not include any evidence to back it up, is just plain rude and hurtful. I am the one going out of my way to make these videos to share my knowledge and findings with everyone willing to listen. If you truly don't like what I have to say, or don't believe I know what I am talking about, then make your own video and explain your thoughts and reasoning there. The reason why I am sharing these thoughts with you is because I can already predict that not many people are going to like what I have to say in this video. Many will more than likely not support my findings and reasonings. Once again, if you disagree with me, that is perfectly alright, just don't try and argue with me, because I will not respond to those types of comments. With that being said, let's dive into the next topic in Sir Exile's Library. Aliens and Alien Abductions. First, what is an alien? That question alone could bring up many different thoughts, opinions, and disputes. The English dictionary states that an alien is a hypothetical or fictional being from another world. That statement alone could boil someone's blood, especially when they truly believe that aliens exist and know without a doubt that they are not fictional. According to books, movies, and other media sources there are many different kinds of aliens. Some of the most famous types of aliens found within movies and stories are the xenomorphs, the predators, the Martians, and the Greys. Even though there are many different kinds of aliens, I found something interesting and similar about them. Throughout my research, I have found one common element that links them all together. Every single one of them seems to be very interested in Earth and the people on it. Some of them go as far as abducting human beings to study them. Others seem to only want to use human beings as incubators to create new genetic hybrids. Others like to hunt and kill human beings for sport. No matter what their reasons are, they all seem to revolve their entire existence around Earth and human beings. The question is, why? Why are aliens so fascinated with human beings and Earth itself? To answer that question, we must first go back to the history of aliens and when mankind first interacted with them. Now the first official known record/sightings of aliens can only be dated back to the late 1940s or early 1950s. Modern extraterrestrial believers and astrobiologists may argue this point with me, claiming that ancient hieroglyphics and other documents suggest otherwise, but the absolute fact of the matter is that people didn't truly start believing in aliens or extraterrestrials until the late 1940s, early 1950s. That was when the official term aliens or extraterrestrials started to be read and talked about. Another interesting note is that the origin of these fascinating creatures comes from the Americas. Americans were the first to see and spread rumors about these extraterrestrials. Therefore, they are one of the few creatures that can trace their beginnings to the Americas. In essence, America created the legend of these beings. So how come it was the Americans that discovered these entities, and why didn't they discover them sooner? It is plain and simple when you peel back all the layers and discover the truth. The reason why extraterrestrials came to being was because during the late 1940s and early 1950s the idea of space travel was being considered. The Americans were the first to build a successful airplane, and they kept on trying to see what was the next limit to break and achieve. They kept building new planes and even started building jets trying to master the skies. Yet they could only reach a certain speed before their new crafts would break and fall apart. Some of them claimed that there was a demon in the sky that kept them from achieving new speeds. It wasn't until October 14, 1947, they finally got their answer. On that day they finally made a jet that broke the sound barrier, revealing why when past aircrafts reached a certain speed they broke down and fell apart. When an object reaches a certain speed, it is getting closer and closer to reaching the literal speed of sound, which has a barrier. To go that fast, an object must be sturdy and strong, otherwise it will fall apart once it hits that barrier. The actual barrier of sound must be broken in order to go faster than sound itself. Which is why on October 14, 1947 they believed their jet exploded once again once it reached that certain speed. The first thing they heard was a loud boom that shook them and the airbase. Then they saw their jet zooming by with unimaginable speed for their time. Once the sound barrier was broken, the people of America were once again wondering what was next. It wasn't long before the thought of breaking the barrier that surrounds the Earth entered their minds. With those thoughts implanted in the people's heads, they started imagining what space was like and how they were going to explore it, as well as travel through it. In time, a thought dawned on them that if the people of Earth could travel with great speeds and do great feats with what limited technology they had, what would it be like if there were beings from another world that had greater technology and advancements? What if there was already someone out there that had already built a spacecraft to explore space? It wasn't long after mankind started building their newest jets that the first UFO sighting was found. Many at the time believed that it was just another new jet design being tested. But others feared that it was something not of this world. That extraterrestrials had finally decided to visit and make contact with us. Thus, America created the term extraterrestrials and aliens from another world. After that, new thoughts and ideas began to swarm about what these extraterrestrials looked like and why they were visiting the Earth. Based on this evidence and research, it is my conclusion that most stories about aliens and alien abductions are just that, stories. Real extraterrestrials would never do what people are claiming them to do. They would never abduct and experiment on a human being. Therefore, all the famous alien encounters are just simply the American people's own imagination. The people imagined them, and that is how they came to be. This is why it has taken so long to discover them and name them. They are simply entities of the mind, nothing more. Some might be asking right about now that if these extraterrestrials are just figures of the mind, then why do people claim to be abducted and studied by these strange entities? To answer that question, let us go through the process of alien abductions. A typical abduction story begins something like this. The victim comes home from a long day of work, gets ready for bed, and then heads to bed. Then, sometime during the night, they feel strange and uncomfortable and awake to a strange environment. They discover that they are naked on a table, surrounded by strange creatures that are studying them. They talk funny and do very strange things to the victim. A very popular occurrence is that the aliens will do a naval probe, especially to female victims, and we will discuss that in just a moment. Once the aliens are finished with their examination and their probing, the victim then wakes up safely in their own bed. Some have memories of the encounter, while others don't remember anything but know deep down something strange has happened to them. Some of them feel violated. Some that remember and don't remember will find strange marks on their bodies and feel like something is inside them. When you break down the elements of these alien abduction stories, you realize that other cultures and people have had similar tales and experiences. For these cultures, it isn't aliens that have abducted them and or tormented them, it is demons, ghosts, goblins, or other evil entities that do these horrible acts. Abduction stories have been around for thousands of years. It is only in the recent 1900s that the Americans started blaming these abductions on aliens. This is further evidence that aliens as people know them today don't truly exist. They are in reality demons or darker forces trying to understand mankind and/or torment them. These beings have been around for thousands of years, but the Americans have recently given them a new name and form. Further evidence I have of this conclusion can be found in the movie The Fourth Kind. The Fourth Kind is an interesting film where it combines real footage of events with reenactments from famous actors and actresses. The plotline of the movie is how this real-life woman had an alien encounter and how it affected her family and her life. In the film we see from time to time people that have been abducted by these aliens acting strange and doing things that they wouldn't normally do. Those of faith can easily see from these images and scenes that the people weren't abducted by aliens, but possessed by demons. They acted and behaved as possessed individuals, not people who were experimented on by extraterrestrials. Even at the end of the film, the so-called alien claims to be God. Claims that the child is his and he will never give her back. He even claims to be the savior of the earth. There is only one dark force in the whole world that has ever made that kind of bold claim. That dark force is known to many as the devil, or Satan. Satan is the only dark being to ever claim that he is the God and savior of the earth and that he owns it. If this woman was truly abducted by an extraterrestrial, then why would that extraterrestrial claim to be the God of Earth? Wouldn't an extraterrestrial claim to be the God of another world? Why would a being from a completely different planet claim to be the God of the Earth as well as use the term Savior? The simple answer is, they would never. However, a demon would make those claims. Understanding that this modern term of extraterrestrial is false is the key to understanding them and why they do what they do. Again, the term extraterrestrial is a modern term. Other cultures have already given them a name and a form. In reality, these extraterrestrials are nothing more than dark spirits or demons. This fact explains everything. It explains why they want to study human beings so much and why they constantly experiment on them. In demon law and lore, a demon has no body of their own, which is why they desire one above everything else. They want to live and have their own bodies. By examining and experimenting on humans, they hope to one day be able to achieve that goal. But they will never succeed because of the higher law they are forced to obey. Demons may never be able to create a body of their own, but their pride keeps them from giving up, and so they continue to try create a body of their own using human bodies. This is the perfect time to dive into why the most popular probing aliens like to perform is the navel probe. The navel is the beginning of life. It is the very place where life is created and life sustained. Demons/aliens like to probe this area because if they could unlock the hidden secrets of the navel, they could unlock the key to life itself and be able to create their own bodies. Yet they haven't been able to unlock that secret, which is why they probe that area over and over again. Another theory as to why they probe the navel is just to torment their victim. They know that is the key to life and they hate the fact that their victims have a navel and want to hurt it or destroy it to show them their own pain and sorrow. I tend not to believe that theory though. I lean more to the theory that they probe the navel because they are trying to discover the secret of life. This is why most navel probing are done to female victims. It is rare to hear of a male victim getting a navel probe. Females though testify and state that one of the many probes they received was in the navel. That is because women are the only ones that can create and bring new life into this world. Because the navel is connected to everything within the human body, the demons/aliens know that if they can probe and truly examine a female's navel, they could one day discover the secret to creating and giving life. Now, going back to why there are so many different kinds of aliens. This too can be easily explained once you know what extraterrestrials really are. Demons can only take the shape of what a person believes in. If a person doesn't believe in demons, ghosts, goblins, or any other evil creature, they must take the form that a person does believe in. This explains why true alien sightings only began in the 1900s. It was in the 1900s that a lot of humans stopped believing in the spiritual and the supernatural. They started believing more in facts and science. Thus, when they stopped believing in demons, the demons had to find a different form that the non-believers could believe in. This is why aliens have many different forms and shapes. If a person doesn't believe in them, they must take the shape of the individual's own nightmares and imagination. Today those nightmares are of green men from another world. To further support my statements and this theory, let us go back to the hieroglyphics that modern people believe are proof of alien encounters. If a modern-day alien believer were to travel back in time and actually converse with the man carving these hieroglyphics, they would be shocked at their answers and responses. If they were to ask the carver, "What are you carving?" the carver would respond, "I am carving the history of my people and of our gods." The alien believer would then try to get the carver to confirm their theory and try to convince the carver that their gods were in reality aliens from another world. The carver would find the alien believer as a madman, and the poor alien believer would be executed for speaking false teachings and blasphemy. To the people of the ancient world, aliens from another world were a foreign idea. No one at that time would have ever thought or believed in such a thing. In that time it was the gods and the supernatural that ruled the world. To say anything else would be considered blasphemy, and those that spoke these false teaching were put to death. Which is why aliens, as modern people know them today, didn't make their first appearance until the 1900s. As man's faith and beliefs started to fade, so did magic and the supernatural. Because of this, the dark forces were forced to take on a new form. One that the people in these modern times could believe in. A form that has higher technology and higher intelligence than man. A form not of this world. Returning to why so many people are abducted by these so-called aliens or extraterrestrials. I have touched a little on why that is, but let us dive further into the most common part of the abduction stories, to further support my previous claim. Those who claim to have been abducted share a common theme or story. Most of them claim that the extraterrestrials made them do some kind of sexual act. For men, they claim that the aliens forced them to have sex with one of the extraterrestrials on board the strange craft. For women, they claim to have some of their eggs taken from their body, as well as felt like the aliens were implanting a strange embryo into their womb. In short, the abductees claim that the aliens are after their reproductive organs. These statements further prove my hypothesis that these so-called aliens are in reality demons or dark spirits. As I mentioned earlier, demons crave and desire to have a body of their own. They want to experience life itself and know what it means to be human. So, they are taking and studying the very foundations of life to see if they can create a body of their own. That is why many claim that the aliens that abducted them wanted them to perform sexual acts in front of them. They are studying and learning all they can in hopes to one day find the secret of creating a body of their own for them to possess it and become human themselves. True extraterrestrials wouldn't care about how humans reproduce and have sex. Beings of higher intelligence and higher thought already know the answer to these questions. Throughout all the worlds and realms, the law of reproduction is the same. A male of the species must mate with the female of the same species in order to reproduce. That is that. They know that a male can't mate with a male and create an offspring, nor can a female mate with a female to create new life. A male and a female alone is the only way to create a new life. Even in the insect world, where most insects can reproduce asexually, they still need to mate with a male in order to create functioning and healthy offspring. An example of this can be found in bees. An unfertile egg from a queen bee will always produce a male, or drone, bee. A drone bee's only purpose in life is to mate with a queen bee. Other than that, they are lazy and good for nothing. They don't build comb, gather honey, or even babysit the new larva. To create a proper worker bee, the queen must lay a fertile egg. Thereby they need to mate with a drone in order to create a proper hive and workforce. If they don't, the whole hive would be nothing but drones and soon perish. Common knowledge such as this is child's play for higher intelligence that true extraterrestrials must have. Thereby there would be no need to study how and why humans reproduce. So the only other conclusion is that these so-called aliens are not aliens at all. They are indeed dark spirits and demons of this earth. Demons and dark spirits desperately trying to unlock the secret of life so they can be born. To recap and conclude this session. aliens and extraterrestrials as we know them today are simply a modern creation of the mind itself. Most of them were created by the imaginations of directors and writers of the modern era. In reality, the very first official sighting of these beings didn't begin until the late 1940s and early 1950s. Even though these beings are relatively modern, their legends and tales have been told for centuries. Legends and tales of being taken, tormented, studied, probed, implanted, violated, or even impregnated. For centuries mankind has feared the unknown and has tried to give a name and shape to these dark forces that like to torment and abduct them. They have gone by many names, but their true name is demon. They are the ones who abduct and experiment on poor unfortunate souls in hopes to one day understand humanity and how to become human themselves. They especially like to take an experiment on women, for women contain the secret of life. It is women that have the power to create and bring new life into this world. Which is why they study their core of life with such passion and such determination. It is why they try to implant and impregnate them with their unholy spawns and creations, but the embryos never take, and their experiments always fail. Therefore, they are forced to do the next best thing that they have done for centuries. Try to possess a human body. Sometimes they succeed and can possess their victims for a short time, but then they are eventually cast out. Sometimes the casting out can cause physical harm to the victim. Most of the time they are never the same and may even have mental and physical ailments. In conclusion, aliens as people know them today, are nothing more than demons that have taken on a new form and shape. Mankind has forgotten about them, but they have not forgotten about mankind. They are forced to take on this new form because mankind has stopped believing in the ancient ways. They can only reveal themselves in a form that a human does believe in. In this form, they can continue to affect and torment man, as well as study them in hopes of one day gaining a body for themselves. True extraterrestrials are just visitors watching from a safe distance. They have no need to abduct to study man. They study man as a true explorer studies the jungle. They take note, draw sketches, and every now and then take a small sample to bring back and study. But they try their best to not disturb the natural environment that they are studying. They want to preserve Earth as it is, just like a true explorer would. That concludes today's episode on aliens and alien abductions. I hope that you enjoyed this session and learned something new. Until next time, this is Sir Exile, signing off.